Center. This is 22 News at 6:30 a.m.
I'm 22 News reporter Kait Walsh live in Washington, D.C., where our local business leaders will have the rare opportunity today to meet with national lawmakers. I'll explain why that's important to you in Western Massachusetts.
Western Massachusetts business leaders are in Washington, D.C., and so is 22 News. Kait Walsh is live in Washington this morning with a preview of their busy day ahead.
We're live outside the Capitol building, where in just a few minutes we will join dozens of business leaders from Western Massachusetts to hear from our U.S. Congressman Richard Neal on the floor of the House of Representatives. Every other year, Congressman Neal hosts the people from the Springfield Regional Chamber of Commerce for a Washington symposium to talk about the issues that matter most to us. 22 News was there as representatives of small, medium, and large-sized businesses arrived in the nation's capital. Lawmakers want to hear from their constituents, especially in this election year. And voters, like these business leaders, want their voices heard.
To voice some of our perspective, hear from Congressman Neal, hear from Senators Markey and Warren, and engage on a few topics, ranging from population loss to workforce alignment to issues with energy costs and higher education.
We see the chamber members walking to the Capitol building right now, so we're going to go join them. But be sure to stay with us on Twitter, Facebook, and our website, WWLP.com, throughout the morning and the rest of the day today for live updates on how all of this matters to you in Western Massachusetts. Live in Washington, D.C., Kait Walsh, 22 News.
The Springfield Regional Chamber of Commerce is in Washington, D.C., and so is 22 News. 22 News reporter Kait Walsh has been with them, hearing from national leaders, and she's live with what they've been discussing.
We're live outside the Capitol building. Just minutes ago, we were inside with the Springfield Regional Chamber of Commerce, where we heard from House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. Of course, she was also the first woman Speaker of the House in U.S. history. She spoke on a variety of issues, including about the economy, which was interesting to the business leaders from Western Massachusetts. She also talked about the presidential election in just 45 days or so. She spoke about the need for campaign reform in how they're financed, so voters really believe that their vote counts and not everything is about money in politics, she said. She also discussed infrastructure and how that needs to be improved, and she applauded our U.S. Congressman Richard Neal on his efforts to do that with the new Union Station in Springfield. But one thing she talked about in particular really stood out. It was about unity. No matter what party people were a part of, Republicans or Democrats, Libertarians or others, she said the need for unity was very important right now, and that's something Congressman Richard Neal also said to start our day this morning. We also heard from Congressman John Lewis. He was a champion of the civil rights movement. He talked about the need for that right now, and so did our U.S. Congressman in Massachusetts, Mike Capuano of the Somerville area. So this afternoon, we're expecting to hear from our U.S. Senators Elizabeth Warren and Edward Markey. We will hopefully hear from them about the opioid crisis and other key issues that matter to people in Massachusetts. So we'll get back inside the Capitol building and we'll have those reports for you live starting at 5 tonight. Live in Washington, D.C., Kait Walsh, 22 News. I'm Kait Walsh, live in Washington, D.C. 22 News was there today as top national lawmakers met with business leaders from Western Massachusetts.
Businessmen and women traveled to the nation's capital today to meet with congressional leaders. Good evening and welcome to 22 News at 5:30. I'm Barry Krieger. Business leaders from Western Massachusetts had the rare opportunity to meet with the country's top political leaders in Washington, D.C. 22 News reporter Kait Walsh is live in Washington with what they discussed throughout the day.
We're live outside the Capitol building, where all day we were with the Springfield Regional Chamber of Commerce. Every other year, our U.S. Congressman Richard Neal hosts them for a Washington symposium as a way for them to find out how the government here is working for us.
The presidential election is a polarizing topic for Americans, but with just over a month to voting day, it was a topic nearly a dozen congressional leaders talked about with business leaders from Western Massachusetts. Why? The outcome impacts their jobs and how they'll need to lobby with state and federal government for business to thrive in our region.
Elections are about two things, about who you elect, who takes the seat. But it's also about the message that the people give the people they elect. This is what is important to me.
House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi said Congress needs to do a better job compromising without compromising their ideals. That was the same message from Congressman Richard Neal, as well as Congressman Mike Capuano, civil rights champion Congressman John Lewis, Senators Elizabeth Warren and Ed Markey.
The business leaders were impressed by that message of unity, and proof of that was when the House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Kevin Brady, a Republican, came in to speak with us because he's friends with Congressman Richard Neal. Live in Washington, D.C., Kait Walsh, 22 News.
Walsh was with them and is live outside the Capitol.
Every other year, our U.S. Congressman Richard Neal hosts business leaders from Western Massachusetts to show them what's being done here in Washington to benefit us back at home. This year, this Washington symposium was all about the race for the White House. Dozens of business leaders from industries including healthcare, education, and finance found out how their vote for congressmen, senators, and even president impact their fields in Western Massachusetts. Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren talked about their push for a funding bill that would include more than $1 billion to help fight the opioid epidemic, but it's still getting stalled in the Senate.
The only way we're going to save lives and the only way we're going to do it successfully is if Democrats work together with Republicans to find the funding.
House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi stressed the importance of funding for new infrastructure projects like high-speed rail. Chamber members were impressed with Congressman Neal's desire to work across the aisle. He had Republican Ways and Means Committee Chairman Kevin Brady speak with them.
He's listened to, that he articulates the things that we're concerned about, and so actually seeing that side of things makes me realize that, yeah, we're on the map and we have someone advocating for us.
We also heard from Massachusetts U.S. Congressman Joe Kennedy III and Mike Capuano. They wanted to make it very clear that while we often hear how divided Congress is, they actually get along more than we may think. Live in Washington, D.C., Kait Walsh, 22 News.